Good American Family ending explained. The trial outcome and how old Natalia Grace really is. Natalia Grace's Imogen Faith Reed. Controversial legal cases came to a close in Good American Family, but while the court settled many arguments, there are still many lingering questions about the true crime series. Though Good American Family is based on a true story, it has been telling that story from two conflicting points of view. From Natalia Grace's side and from Christine Ellen Pompeo and Michael Barnett's Mark Duplass side. In the finale, however, those two conflicting accounts merged into one final court case as the cast of Good American Family assembled for Michael's criminal neglect charges. The finale of Good American Family saw Natalia Grace and Cynthia Mann's Christine Hendricks take on the Barnetts over a decade after she lived with them. All of her alleged sociopathic tendencies and their allegedly abusive behavior came rushing back, and the courts were left to determine the truth. Except that's not what happened. The courts, through a divisive decision, seemingly obscured the truth of Natalia Grace's age and Christine and Michael's crimes. But how much of Good American Family was accurate, and what does the show really mean? Unfortunately for Natalia Grace, Michael's criminal trial was almost decided before it began. After Terrence Kinnard, Derek Webster, petitioned, the judge decided to ban any mention of Natalia Grace's age in the following trial. The judge made that ruling because in 2017, when Natalia and the Mann's family lost their custody hearing, the prosecution failed to appeal the case and tried to change Natalia's age again. The judge saw that as proof that it wasn't important. Natalia was treated as an adult, and the 4 charges of child neglect and abuse were dropped. Being treated as an adult was absolutely detrimental to Natalia Grace's case. The prosecution couldn't make any mention of her being a child. Every witness who referred to her as a child was stricken from the record, and the statute of limitations for adults precluded anything that the Barnetts did prior to 2014 from being litigated. Because of the judge's ruling about Natalia Grace's age, Michael Barnett, and by extension, Christine, walked free. Detective Drysdale Dulé Hill aptly called it a miscarriage of justice. One of the biggest effects of the judge's ruling on Natalia Grace's age pertained to the Facebook Messenger texts Michael and Christine sent to one another about her. In the messages, both Christine and Michael openly spoke about abusing Natalia, that they knew she was a child, and even called her slurs and other insults. They would have been incredibly damning if they were entered into the record, but because Natalia Grace was considered an adult for the trial, the Facebook Messenger texts were protected by spousal privilege. Spousal privilege in part protects a married couple's communications from being used against them in a court of law. Normally, Christine and Michael's texts would never have been admissible in the neglect case. It was only because the prosecution was leveling charges that claimed Natalia Grace was a child that they were able to get them at all. Spousal privilege doesn't apply to cases of child abuse, and if it hadn't been for the judge's ruling, Natalia would have won in Good American Family. That didn't happen, however, and Natalia was treated as an adult by the court, taking away the prosecution's ability to use the texts as evidence. One of the more dramatic moments of Good American Family's finale came when Natalia Grace confronted Michael again after the trial. It was a powerful moment where Michael was forced to face the mistakes he made and the harm he caused to Natalia, but it wasn't clear if that actually happened or if it was part of Good American Family's dramatization. Michael and Natalia Grace did speak again after the trial, but Good American Family changed some key details of their conversation. In real life, Michael publicly apologized to Natalia in 2024, and Christine wasn't present, via The Curious Case of Natalia Grace. After 8 episodes, several conflicting accounts and accusations, and plenty of drama, Good American Family didn't actually solve the question of Natalia Grace's real age. There is, however, a good reason for that. No one knows definitively how old Natalia Grace is. There are so many lies, allegations, and conflicting legal documents that support her birth year being either 1989 or 2003 that it's impossible to tell which one is real. Good American Family implies that Natalia Grace was born in 2003, but in real life, it comes down to who you choose to believe. Good American Family ends shortly after Michael Barnett's criminal court case in 2023. But there is a lot more to the story of Natalia Grace after that moment. As shown in the series' final moments, the man's family that adopted Natalia Grace was accused of being abusive to her and their other children, via people. Natalia Grace eventually ran away from the man's household in December 2023 and is now living with the DePaul family in New York. She has a boyfriend and is studying for her GED with dreams of becoming a teacher. Christine and Michael Barnett's life after Good American Family has also been eventful. Michael has made several public appearances, like the aforementioned apology he gave on the curious case of Natalia Grace. Aside from those moments, however, Michael has mostly stayed out of the public eye. Christine, on the other hand, is still discussing her involvement with Natalia Grace to this day. She reportedly has written a memoir titled Witch Hunt, the Christine Barnett story, though it has yet to be widely released via People. Though it's based on a true story, Good American Family is a story about lies, stories, and who you choose to believe. Katie Robbins, creator of Good American Family, said that with any story, you're primed to believe what you're being told, and her creation was an effort to challenge that bias via time. By showing both sides of Natalia Grace's situation, Good American Family asks its viewers to evaluate the people we trust, and questions whether even a good American family can be taken at face value. At the very least, it asks us to take information that directly impacts a person's well-being with a grain of salt. There's also a through line in Good American Family that supports this reading of the text. In multiple instances, characters like Detective Drysdale espouse the notion that if you tell a lie well enough, the truth doesn't matter. Good American Family is essentially a story about how the truth can die if the right people tell the right lies and enough people listen. Though her passport was eventually changed by the end of the show, Natalia Grace's real age remained a mystery precisely because the Barnetts lied and played the legal system better than Natalia did. Ultimately, Good American Family asks its viewers who it chooses to believe. The court of public opinion is a powerful force in American life, and Natalia Grace won there, even if she didn't win legally. Good American Family contributes to that court of public opinion, and it asks its viewers whether they believe Natalia Grace or if they believe Christine and Michael. The show itself has its own proclivity to believe Natalia, but it's up to each individual viewer to look at the information presented in Good American Family through a critical lens. In the final moments of the Good American Family, the Natalia Grace trial, viewers were left grappling with more questions than answers, but also a haunting sense of resolution. This real-life mystery, filled with courtroom drama, psychological intrigue, and the unraveling of an unconventional American family, culminated in a verdict that echoed through headlines across the nation. But to understand the outcome, we must rewind to where it all began, with a little girl, a Ukrainian orphan, and a question that stunned everyone: just how old is Natalia Grace? The trial outcome. The Barnett's fate. In a climactic twist, the jury found Michael Barnett not guilty on all charges of child neglect. It was a stunning conclusion to a saga that had seen Natalia Grace left alone in an Indiana apartment while her adoptive parents moved to Canada with their biological children. The prosecution painted a bleak picture: a vulnerable girl, abandoned and left to fend for herself. The defense, however, told a chillingly different story, one of alleged deception, manipulation, and a family pushed to the brink. Michael's defense team leaned heavily on the idea that Natalia was not a helpless child, but a fully grown adult woman with a complex medical history and possible mental illness. They claimed Natalia had threatened the family, even going so far as to suggest she'd attempted to harm the Barnetts and their children. These were not easy accusations to absorb, but ultimately the jury was not convinced that Michael had committed a crime.